So I have a question for Bruno and Callie. How was the breakfast? All right, we've got 2 kid approval rating on that breakfast. That's fine. I'm going to ask Lindy Lee Gold from the state of Connecticut to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you stand if you were able? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Lindy. Good morning. For those of you who don't know me or haven't seen me in some newspaper article, I'm Dee Jacob, and I have the honor to lead the Shoreline Chamber for our wonderful members throughout the county of Guilford, Branford, North Branford, and beyond. We're a very vibrant chamber, and we're vibrant primarily because of you and because we have a great team that works with you. Good morning, Comptroller Scala. Nice to see you. For Selectman Cosgrove, thank you for being here. North Branford Mayor Rose Angeloni, thank you for being here, as well as all of our honorees, our sponsors, and our guests. I want to thank you for your flexibility. Having an event in the wintertime is always a very tricky thing. You know, you never know what the weather's going to be. We've had that typical kind of New England-y snow on, snow off, snow on, snow off. And we did call WTNH on Monday and talk directly to the meteorology department, who assured me there would be ice yesterday. What they didn't tell me is there would be ice this morning from all the runoff and the cold weather. But I appreciate your flexibility for being here. Not everybody could change their schedules at a moment's notice. So thank you very much. This is our opportunity as the Shoreline Chamber to honor our business and community members. And it is our official annual meeting. So we have to do the meeting part. You know, that's kind of required. So I'm going to ask the chair of our board, Denise Debus from New Mobility, and I'm going to ask Jim Fennell, one of our board members, to come up. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. I call the annual meeting to order. And I am very privileged to lead a wonderful team of board of directors, your representatives in the leadership of the Shoreline Chamber. At our November meeting, we re-elected Matt Loprino to serve a second 2-year term as treasurer. We very much appreciate the support. Myself as chair, Chad Edgar as vice chair, and Kristen Sidley as secretary. We all have 1 more year in our terms. The board of directors will have 1 vacancy at the end of this month. And the membership will occupy in December of the nomination of 1 new board member for election, and that is Matt Rader with TechFest. As there were no petitions for additional candidates, the nominations are now closed.
I move that the nominees be elected by acclamation.
All in favor of the nominee, please.
And Matt's right over there.
Thank you, Matt. The membership was also notified in December of the nomination of 5 board members for election to a second 3-year term. Denise Davey, Mobility, Chad Edgar, Edgar Law, Matt Loprino, Soundview YMCA, Kristen Sibley, GSB, Eric Emanuelson Law. As there were no petitions for additional candidates, the nominations are now closed.
I move that the nominees be elected by acclamation.
I second.
All in favor of the nominees, please signal by applause. Congratulations, everyone. We really appreciate your support. And now I'll turn the meeting over to Dee to review 2024.
2024 is a challenging year for not only our members, but also for the chamber. But we had some great highlights. We were joined by 63 new businesses and organizations in our area. We also had 42 ribbon cuttings and milestones where we opened the business. If we haven't done one of those for you, please contact me. It's a great way to get visibility for your business. Milestones are every 5 years, and a ribbon cutting can be when you create a new office or open a new part of your business. We grew our direct social media followers on the 4 pages that we run by over $1,000 followers to 8675. But more importantly, we are involved in social media groups where we share our individual posts as well as our magazine to over 72,000 followers. Perhaps the thing that we're most proud of is that at the end of 2023, we had close to 205,000 individual searches of the Shoreline Chamber directory looking for our individual businesses, either by name or by category. And that grew to 564,000 over the course of 2024. That's a tremendous growth. And what that means is people are looking at the chamber as a trusted, credible resource, and they're looking for people like the very people we have in this room. So we're thrilled about that, and we will continue to drive people to our website. Denise?
I would like to take a moment to thank Jim Fennell. He has served as the director for 7 years, an extra year because of COVID, and we all know how challenging COVID was, and he was one of those main members and supports that really helped the chamber get through that time. He served as board treasurer and board chair. Jim, on behalf of the membership, we thank you for serving on the board, and I can't thank you myself as the chair for all your support and your knowledge. And if you ever have, he's a great salesman. If you have lunch with him, he's going to talk into anything, including picking up the board chair. So we want to thank you so much for everything you've done. So I call for a motion to adjourn the annual meeting. Anyone?
Hey! And second?
All in favor? Okay.
That is probably the shortest annual meeting you will ever come to. Because really part of our focus today is to honor people in our community. But before we do, I just want to say a thank you. We have a tremendous team at the Shoreline Chamber. If you haven't met Tina Stroh, our new vice president, Diane Lafitte, who is our membership and operations manager, and Megan, who is our operations and technical support person, they are really something special. They have a passion for you. They have a passion for business success. They have a passion for thriving in our community. As some of you know, my family's having a health crisis go on, and my schedule's been somewhat erratic at different times. But I haven't worried about a thing, because whether I'm doing my work at night or from a hospital or wherever, both Tina and Diane have really, really covered the business and have been there for us. And I'd like you to give a special recognition to them. We also color coordinated our outfits today. We are very fortunate, and special thank you to our sponsors. Our gold sponsor, GSB, has really always stepped up and been there more than just a gold sponsor. They stepped up to be a community benefactor this year. Our benefactors are the people that allow us to put new programs on, but more importantly, they keep the price of our membership accessible to solopreneurs and small retail business and restaurants that struggle and farms. And so we thank you for going the extra mile like you do so often in the community. So thank you, GSB. Now, Crosspoint Federal Credit Union didn't want me to only share the spotlight with GSB. Crosspoint not only is a gold sponsor for this event, but they stepped up to be a partner benefactor this year. And in much the same way, it allows us to do so much more. And both GSB and Crosspoint cover all the realm of financial institutions that you'll ever need. So we thank you, Crosspoint. This is like rubbing your head and patting your tummy. You're trying to read, present, look at you, and click at the same time. So this group is in charge. If the slide doesn't match what I'm saying, they're going to get my attention. I also want to thank our additional gold sponsors, Autech, Marie Louise, tremendous business in town, makes custom-made curly cords, a really great manufacturer. She could not be here due to the date change. But we do have East River Energy over there, Denise and Erica, thank you. Your support of the chamber has been wonderful, and they are all things energy, and also pool water. And then, of course, we have Floor Craze here. Floor Craze has been really the place to go for all flooring needs, and we thank you for your continued sponsorship, and you'll hear a little bit more about them. But while I'm at this, I really should say Happy Valentine's Day to you all, and would you all be my Valentine? But more importantly, we have a birthday boy in the room. Where's Jose? Stand up. Would you help me sing happy birthday? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jose. Happy birthday to you. In addition, I want to thank our silver sponsor, Page Hardware. They keep stockpiling in snow melt and shovels, so they couldn't be here. And Pen Globe, another great manufacturer, Marcia LaFemina, who has been a wonderful supporter of the chamber, great manufacturer, and also another one of our honorees. And we couldn't do these events without Van Wilgen's support. They always give us these lovely plants for our centerpieces. I should say they loaned them. They are not your parting gifts, so please leave them here. So in trying not to cost the chamber anymore, we'd love to return them for them, but they have always said yes, so we thank them. Let's give a round of applause to them. With a change in schedule, not everyone could be here to get their awards, so we did a ceremony at Town Hall in Brantford the other day. Thank you, Jamie, for hosting us. And the first business we want to recognize is Small Business of the Year, Cancion Ultra Premium Tequila. This usually is where the crowd goes wild. It's tequila. But owners Karen Brown and Andy Vetterain, Brantford residents, are wonderful. Karen is babysitting a 3-week-old and a 13-month-old, and Andy is bringing in extra añejo from the Southwest, so we will have it in our stores here in the Northeast. When you blend music, education, community, and add 100% blue rubber agave, you come up with Cancion Ultra Premium Tequila, which is headquartered in Brantford. Cancion's award-winning. Because of their tequila, they have found popularity on both sides of the border, boasting 4 varietals: Blanco, Reposado, Añejo, and the coveted Extra Añejo. All have earned medals from national and international competitions. Andy and Karen are devoted to educating the discerning and not so discerning consumer about tequila and the Cancion difference, purity. There are no fillers, no additives, no colors or flavors. It's just the time in the barrel and using a beautiful, beautiful field of blue agave. The time Cancion sits in those barrels is determined not by the minimum allowed in order to be called a particular varietal of tequila, but what it takes to make the delicious blend and smooth tequila that many of us have had the fortune to sample and sometimes drink on the side. The business and tequila launched in Connecticut in the fall of 2021. Karen and Andy have been staples of the Shoreline Chamber, and since then, providing tastings and education to many of our events. They support the brand at many of the restaurants in the area with special dinners and events, and this is really huge for our restaurants, particularly this time of year. When a nonprofit calls or a downtown shopping event is in need, you'll find Karen and Andy there with their special brand of education and special margaritas. Karen is a member of the Shoreline Chamber Board and partnered with the Chamber on marketing the Chamber raffle this past fall. They both support our social media with shares and comments. Andy is often found promoting Cancion Cocktail at a restaurant and many of our Chamber members' restaurants. So we thank Cancion for their sponsorship of our branches and our Women of Excellence, and let's give them a round of applause. Also unable to be with us is Elena Cahill from Branford Co-working. And Branford Co-working is the Branford Community Partner of the Year. Taking the site of the former Citizens Bank at 119 Montouise Street, she has thoughtfully repurposed it into a state-of-the-art facility for businesses and business people of the 21st century, while creating a wonderful community asset. In a seamless blend of history and modernity, Branford Co-working offers a variety of workspaces to suit every need, from private offices and conference room to dedicated desk and flex space. They've included everything but the kitchen sink. Well, no, they have that too, and a snack stock kitchen, along with high-speed internet, printing, a podcast studio, and other central office amenities. Attention to detail and a commitment to preserving the building's architectural integrity, and yes, the vault is able to be walked into, are at the forefront of the design. Elena has said, Branford Co-working is more than just a place to work, it's a community. And we have created a space that not only provides the tools for success, but also fosters a culture of community and connection. Your vision has reimagined how community could use this space for business, such as M&T's training on cybersecurity for the public, but so much more. From hosting a Shoreline Chamber Net 90, to a Branford Festival leadership meeting, to opening your door in December to local artisans and vendors to have pop-up shops during Branford's December Shop, Sip, and Stroll. Branford Co-working is a place where business and community come together, and help me congratulate Elena. So we do have with us the last Branford business to be honored. Come on up, Jonathan. And I'm going to ask Denise to come up and join me. What about it? I thought the dog looked good. That's Graham. Yes? So, yeah, if you come up so you can help present the board, Denise, thank you. I forgot to tell you that. And those of you who have certificates, if you kind of would hang over by Tina, so then once we present the award, then we'll stand by them with the certificates. So new businesses of the year, new small business of the year, the Great Goat Farm Teak, owned by Jonathan Hunt. What is a farm teak and what's all that buzz about? Taking a Branford landmark, Libby's Excuse Bar, you've turned the building into a vision where artisans and the art of food and drink come together. In less than 2 years, you've seen your vision and customer base grow. As an artist yourself, you have a special dedication to local artists in all mediums to provide a year-round outlet for selling their goods, and also providing art and food events that are highly attended. Did you have one, Wednesday night? Wednesday night. The Grey Goat's entire business model is based on supporting other local businesses, artists, creators, and makers within the community, while providing a space for delicious food and well-crafted drinks. And don't forget that Sunday munch menu. Delicious. Jonathan supports local businesses through a piece of art that he designed that encourages people to sample all of the great businesses along Route 139 or North Branford Road if you're coming from Branford, or Branford Road if you're coming from North Branford, going from the Goat to Kaya's Brewery to Rose Orchards. He regularly shouts out many small businesses and many artists on social media. He's been a chamber member since its grand opening. Besides hosting many events that the local community enjoys and takes part in, he's very active with local charitable organizations, giving back to the community and to causes near and dear to its patrons. Some of these include fighting and finding a cure for breast cancer, collecting food for those displaced by flooding, participation and sponsorship of the local garden club and a middle school PTA, as well as adopting a hockey team in support of a locally deployed Navy veteran. And this isn't in my script, but one of Jonathan's vendors had a car stolen with all of the goods that they had made, soap maker, candle maker, all of their goods in it was stolen. You know, this is all the time it takes to get that. The car crashed, people rummaged the car, and he put the word out to get his following, pre-order stuff, buy stuff, and I think the public greatly responded because his care of artists is unique. Jonathan also regularly shares our chamber events and news, and he's a swag bag sponsor for our Chamber's Women of Excellence and partners with fellow chamber member and fellow honoree with Concion. So we congratulate you that it's so great to have a young and vibrant and talented small business owner, but more importantly, who has a really photogenic dog named Graham, whom you might occasionally hear bark at the Goat. And you've created a place that lifts our spirits and lifts our local artists all year round. So thank you. And then we have some certificates from the state legislature. Yeah, just come in, just bring them in. And there we go. So we have one from the state legislature. John, you gonna pop up with the photo album?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you? Okay. Well, it's his.
Oh, that's
I thought maybe he did. We didn't rehearse this part, can you tell? All right, everybody look at the camera. All right, here we go, smiles.
We're good. Thank you.
And then one more for Sean's office. No, Peter, you can
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Yep, would you like to say word again?
I just thank you everyone for coming out today. Those very kind words and a great summary of what the Great Gulf Arctic is and has become. It's been a great journey. We're just getting started, and if you haven't visited, I hope to see your faces there soon. We've got lots to share, so thanks so much. Appreciate it, guys.
We're giving out an award that isn't an annual award. We give it out to people who are in our community that exhibit outstanding leadership, whether in the chamber or in a business or in a community. And I'd like to ask Tim Galen from GSB, CEO of GSB, to come on up right here. So Tim will be receiving the Circle of Leadership Award. So I looked at it, I was going to make it a heart for them. But we're giving the circle of leadership, so I thought maybe we should, So, Tim, this is hard, like you have to stand up and I have to talk about you, right? Okay. Tim is CEO of GSB, and he defines leadership. During his tenure at GSB, he has been instrumental in several strategic bank achievements and initiatives, including growing the institution from $560 million to over $1 billion in assets, increasing the number of dedicated employees by nearly 205%, expanding its branch network, investing in digital transformation strategy, focused on delivering a seamless customer experience. He's expanded upon the bank's commitment to local community reinvestment through financial contributions and volunteerism, and its employees with the creation of the P Performance Education Accountability Knowledge Program and adopting the servant leadership model. Tim has also successfully led the Connecticut-based bank through COVID-19 pandemic with limited client disruption and expanded community nonprofit contribution through its local community foundation profits, and delivered $41 million in PPP loans to 431 businesses. He was also instrumental in the creation of the bank's servant leadership program, which invests in staff education and ensures GSB's commitment to serve each other, its clients, and its community remains at the forefront of its mission. Recently, you completed a term as the 2023 chair of the Connecticut Bankers Association, leading their commitment to advance community banking's mission of serving the financial needs of neighbors across Connecticut and expanding diversity within the industry. You're vice chair and secretary of the CCBA, corporator of Middlesex Health, an advisory board member of Hope Partnership, an advisor for the Connecticut School of Finance and Management. Your service of leadership has been consistent for many years, where not so long ago you were president and corporator of the Guilford Foundation, the treasurer of Westside Secretary, and the board secretary for the Community Foundation of Middlesex County. Under Tim's leadership, Guilford Savings Bank negotiated an intent to merge with Eastern Connecticut Savings Bank, combining two great organizations with deep roots in Connecticut communities. This partnership, approved by both boards, will create a bank with $1.4 billion in combined assets and 25,000 clients. Under Tim's leadership, GSB was our inaugural partner benefactor, which enabled the Chamber to reestablish its office and reinstitute programs post-COVID. Today, they are the first community benefactor of the Chamber, which enables us to keep our members' fees accessible to small and solopreneur businesses. I just want to mention, when you look at leadership, one of the signs of great leadership is who you have on your team and who you have developed. And this table here, if you just take a look at it, we've got Kyle Eagleson, who is the current president and will take over CEO on April. Alex Supasso, Kristen Heidi, everybody else. Great team you have developed and really had an impact on our community. So as a leader in business and philanthropy, we present to you this Circle of Leadership Award, and Denise is here.
Honored and humbled, really accepting this on behalf of the bank. I've had the privilege of working for the last 30 years. Did my best not to screw it up, pay it forward, and really it's part of our DNA. And I'm happy, that I had the chance to serve and in good hands, as Dee said, with this team. So I'm going to miss it, but thank you. And my wife, you didn't know it was Valentine's Day.
I hate having my picture taken. I don't know why I take jobs where I'm constantly getting photographed. It's really, but we have Peter Sykes from Shoreline Pixel, so you see at all of our events, who's a great photographer. You're gonna put that filter on and make me look really good, right? No, make the honorees look good. I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker. Sean Scanlon. Sean is the son of a police officer and a small business owner. He attended Guilford Public Schools and worked his way through high school and Boston College. Thank you. The team is honored over here. With or without his purchase, he still attended and worked his way through high school and Boston College. After graduating, he returned to Connecticut with the goal of helping others and began working as an aide to Senator Chris Murphy, where he helped the senator fight for gun safety and better health care, as well as addressing constituents' concerns. In 2014, he was elected to the as a state representative for Connecticut's 98th district. In the House, he became a champion for healthcare reform, a passion rooted in his whole life, experiences coming from a family that was often uninsured and underinsured. As chairman of the legislature's insurance committee, Sean wrote and passed legislation protecting people with pre-existing conditions from insurance protection and discrimination. They established the lowest monthly copay cap for insulin in the nation at $25, and he prevented insurance companies from covering mental health differently than physical health. During his fourth and final term, Sean served as chair of the Finance Committee, Revenue and Bonding, where he led the fight to create tax relief for working families, like the one he grew up and worked with. Working with Governor Lamont, they passed the largest tax cut in state history. Outside of the legislation, Sean previously served as executive director of Tweed New Haven Airport, where he secured a $100 million private investment grant, brought in a new air carrier, now there's two, and created over 100 new community jobs. Fortunately, there's nobody picketing about Tweed out there today. People in New Haven really love and know your name well, don't they? Sean lives in Guilford with his wife Megan, who's president and CEO of the Connecticut Coalition Against Domestic Violence. And they have two young sons, Jack and Daniel. Would you help me welcome from state of Connecticut's comptroller and Guilford's own Sean Scanlon.
I always think when somebody reads my bio, it's all downhill from there because I'll never sound more impressive than I do in a biography that's on my website. But listen, it's great to be back home this morning. I now have a job that takes me all over the state, and I do a lot of Chamber of Commerce breakfasts. And so the 8 a.m. about 10 minutes from my house is better than the 8 a.m. in Killingly or Kent. Let me just say, I know there's a lot of different awardees here. Congratulations to all of them, but to the two we've heard about so far, I forget what the name of the award you got was, but if there's a wife that's called My Wife's Favorite Place Award, you got it, so congratulations. And to Tim, you know, when I was a state rep, Tim and I had a really good relationship, and there was never a single time that I called him with a constituent issue that he did not say immediately when I called him, let's find a way to make this work. Whether that was a senior who needed a loan for $150 to be able to buy their groceries, or somebody who had trouble with a car loan that they needed something. That's the beauty and benefit of a community bank, and I'm just so proud to have worked with him and to see the success that GSB has had. So congratulations, Tim, and congratulations to the whole team. I know we have a lot of other stuff to get to this morning, and so I'll probably take my remarks down a little bit, and then we'd love to take any questions. But I really want to just kind of give you an overview of kind of where we're at. So now, I know many of you, we worked together when I was a state rep. Now I'm the comptroller, which is essentially, nobody knows what that is, but it's essentially the chief financial officer of the state. I have 280 employees that do all the things that you would imagine a comptroller does. So we keep all the books, we do all the audits, we pay the bills, we pay the employees, but we also track every month what's happening with our economy. And every month, on the first of the month since 1789, the person who has had my job sends a letter to the public and the governor outlining where we're at. And today, in February of 2025, we are way better off than we were 10 years ago. And I just want to take a minute to talk about how I think we got there, because I think it's important for us to talk about where we're going, which is what I know is the concern of most of you. So 10 years ago, when I got elected for the first time to the legislature, I entered the legislature with 1,000,001 really good ideas. And I was the youngest person elected up there. I came in very earnestly in my suit, and I walked up to Hartford and I said, here's all the bills that I want to sponsor because of all the doors that I had knocked on or businesses I had talked to. I see Keith Bishop here. Keith was responsible for like 10 of those ideas that I had. And the elder statesman of the Hartford legislature patted me on the head and said, hey, young man, it's very nice that you have all these ideas, but guess what? We're in the midst of a fiscal crisis and none of that stuff is happening. And so I tried to find out, okay, well, what's behind this? Why are we in this position? But it was clear quickly why we were. We did not come out of the Great Recession well, and we had historical problems that were undermet by the people of Hartford, people in both parties. And so when I got elected, we had record migration of people leaving the state. We had businesses leaving the state. We had anemic economic growth. Taxes were being raised by huge historic percentages. Spending was being cut. All of these things were happening when I first took office. I was reelected in 2016, and a funny thing happened in 2016. The deficit got worse, and the legislature was tied. So in the 2016 election, the first time President Trump was elected, the state senate tied at 18-18 for the first time since the American Civil War. And most people thought that that was going to be a recipe for disaster, but I was actually kind of excited because I truly believe that both parties need to work together. I'm not one of these guys, as you probably all know, that is a bomb thrower and calling people names and tweeting nasty things at people. I just believe that we have to work together for the common interest. And so I was excited. Most people were not excited. And it took a while for us to adjust to the reality of having to essentially share responsibility of governing. But something important happened, which was that while we couldn't get the budget done by June, and then we went into overtime and couldn't get it done in July, August, or September, we eventually got it done in October. The problem for me was that I was getting married in October, and the problem for my family and I was that we booked the wedding thinking that we would have no conflicts around our wedding, but we were still in session, and then we went to Hawaii on our honeymoon. On my second day in Hawaii, the Speaker of the House called me and said, hey, I don't know how to tell you this, but you need to fly back to Connecticut to cast the deciding, tie-breaking vote on the state budget. So I went back to the pool, and many of you know my wife. I said, hey, honey, you look great, you look beautiful. The weirdest thing just happened. The speaker called me, and I gotta go back to Connecticut. She looked at me dead in the face. She said, well, you can go back to Connecticut, but I'm staying here. In Hawaii, still married, by the way. But what happened in that budget is what has made Connecticut in a place that it's in, and I want to tell you about that. So that budget was the first time we passed a bipartisan budget, probably in 30 years in Connecticut. And it instituted these things that are known as the fiscal guardrails that you may be hearing something about on the news. What the heck is that? Well, there are three basic governing principles that change the way we budget. The first one, very self-explanatory, a spending cap. We should not spend more money than we take in. There had been a spending cap in the state constitution since Lord Riker instituted the income tax, but it didn't have any teeth in it, and so this added true teeth to it. The second is a bond cap. So instead of racking up our state credit card bills, which is essentially what we were doing by just bonding all these different things, we curtailed and capped the amount of bonding that we were doing on an annual basis. The third one is called the volatility cap, and it's the least understood, but in my opinion, the most important of them. And what it did was this. Connecticut is very reliant on the income we get from people who live in Fairfield County but work in Manhattan. And these individuals, unlike most of us, they pay their taxes quarterly. And so what was happening is we balanced our budget in June, the market would take a dip, and then by September, our budget would be out of whack because of the volatility of the income from those individuals. So the volatility cap does two simple things. It says, hey, we're not going to spend and account for all that money. We're going to take all that money and put it over here, and it can only be used for two things. It can be used to build up our rainy day fund, which was next to nothing in 2017. And when we hit the constitutional cap of 18% of our budget, that will build that rainy day fund, which had never happened in the history of Connecticut, then we'll start paying down our pension debt, which at the time, in 2017, was $40 billion. And that's because from 1939, when we instituted the pension, to 1971, does anyone want to guess how much money we set aside for our pension fund? Zero. From 1971 to 2011, the answer is next to zero. It was only in 2011 that we actually started making that, what's called an ADEC payment. It's the actuarially required payment for us to do right by our pension fund. We didn't start making that until 70 years after we started paying people's pensions. And so, fast forward to today, why do I talk about all this? Because today, in February of 2025, 7 years into this, that ended each of the last few fiscal years with a budget surplus for the first time in a long time as a state. We have paid down $8.5 billion of that pension debt, and we now have a $4 billion rainy day fund for the first time in history of the state of Connecticut. And so when the governor introduced his budget speech about a week and a half ago, he laid out a vision for Connecticut that reflects the reality that we have come a long way, and we've made a lot of progress as a state, but we're not out of the woods yet, and that we have to keep going with what we are doing that's working. The last 10 years of Connecticut have been digging us out of this terrible fiscal hole. The next 10 years, in my mind, have to be about trying to grow Connecticut. So if we're out of this problem that we've been in, we need to now figure out how to not just get out of the hole, but to grow, which is what I think each and every one of the people in this room want us to see doing, because it will benefit your business, it will benefit your family, it will benefit the state. There are some positive signs that we're seeing, right? So most people don't know this, but between 2022 and 2024, Connecticut was the 19th fastest growing state in the country when it comes to GDP. We usually were 48, 49, 47, something along those lines. Right now, wage growth outpaces inflation. Inflation, obviously, I'm sure you're seeing is ticking up in the last 3 months, but in the fourth quarter of 2024, wage growth in the state was 4.9% versus 3.2% of inflation. So that's good news. We see our unemployment rate is below the national average. So by a couple different economic indicators, we are seeing some progress. And I would just say, having traveled around the whole state in the last 2 years in this gig, people feel better about Connecticut. But we can't take that for granted. We have to keep going with what we know is working. And there is a pretty big debate in Hartford happening right now about these guardrails and what exactly their future should be. My belief is that we have to continue working with them and making sure we continue that progress. But while we may have ended that permanent fiscal crisis that I saw when I first got elected, there's a new crisis, which is the affordability crisis. And I think we need to focus all of our energy in Connecticut, and specifically at the Capitol, of making it more affordable for things like healthcare, childcare, energy prices, which I'm sure people will ask me a question about in a second. All these things that are making it harder for people to run a business, to run a household, to live in the state, we have to tackle them. And I think that the governor's vision that he laid out in his budget is a roadmap for us to do that, but we have a lot more work to do. So I think I'll stop there, Dee, and just say thank you for having me. It's great to see so many friends as I look up in this room, and would love to take some questions if you have some time before we offer some. Oh, you want me to do this? Who has a question? Well, I'm going to look for who has a question first. Okay, all right. Do I have to look into Denise's eyes while I answer my question?
Thank you, and I appreciate the overview you gave. It's really informative. It's good to be reminded of what we've been through. And I really hear what you're saying about the guardrails. Do you see any loosening up as the government proposed in order to support the state's nonprofits, which add such value to the state and the quality of life here?
So, yes, I do. On the volatility cap in particular, what he proposed in his last budget was that while I think the volatility cap has done tremendous work, the volatility cap was created in a very difficult moment, and they made one really big mistake when crafting it, which is that they chose to look at 1 year's revenue and calculated what was volatile based on 1 year, which is never a good idea. And they got very unlucky in the sense that the 1 year they picked happened to be a very, very unrepresentative year of what was truly volatile revenue and what was not. And so what I have done with Pew, which is a nationally recognized, think tank that's not partisan, we have talked about recalibrating the guardrail volatility cap to have a 5-year average that would better reflect what is volatile and what is not volatile, and then taking the non-volatile revenue that's being captured and using it to invest in communities, into nonprofits, into municipalities. I see Jamie nodding because CCM has been very big on talking about this too. And I think that we can find a small balance of taking what would be hundreds of millions of dollars to meet those needs, in addition to keeping the guardrails going. I would also say that in this particular budget, we have $1 billion more money that can be spent under the spending cap that the governor is using in his budget and the legislature will use to balance their budget more than last year because of the rebasing of the spending cap based on inflation, which does provide money. And then the last thing I'd say, and people that I say this to often think that this is sort of a strange thing to say, which is that by paying down that pension debt, we are freeing up more dollars to spend. And so because we had 70 years of not paying the right amount for the pension debt, because we're now paying the right amount plus paying down a lot, it's almost like when you pay down extra on your mortgage a month, your mortgage payment changes. Our mortgage payment has now changed to the tune of $750 million less than it was last year. That frees up that money too. So there's really $1.7 billion of additional funds that were not there last year that are there now. And I know that a lot of nonprofits are surprised to hear that because whenever they go to Hartford, everyone says, well, there's no money, there's no money. There's money. And there is an ability to do this. And in my mind, that doesn't mean that we need to change the guardrails or we even have to. There is money there, and I think it's about reprioritizing that money to meet the needs and figure out what we have to do.
Well, thank you for that. I'll make sure to quote you when I'm talking.
You can. Tell Christine and Blair and I said that.
Well,
Anyone else want to look into my eyes and ask me a question?
take it well, like.
Hey. I'm coming, hang on.
So I'm sure you've heard of the plight that I faced with the hail and all that, and for years, farmers have asked, and the reason why I did what I did was because in '23, the farmers along the river asked for money to help, and it was never said on camera, but it was said that Connecticut's not gonna help farmers. So if you say there's money, there's a bill this year that's gonna ask the governor to start a fund for us for climate emergency and disasters. So if you say there's money here today, then it makes it, like she said, easier for me to go up to the Capitol because I have been making weekly rides to the Capitol to testify on all the bills. Not in a tractor.
So look, what I'd say is this. Yeah, thanks for not doing the Blumenthal thing to me. But look, Will, the reality is we gotta help farmers, right? And if the federal government's not gonna step in to help you, and technically some of the things that happened, not just to your farm, but other farms last year weren't eligible for federal funding, then Connecticut needs to step up and make sure that you're eligible for Connecticut funding. And I'd be happy to work with you. I'll give you my information before we leave, and then we can talk about this more. I know Commissioner Herbert has been engaged in this, and he's come to me to talk about it, but there is more that we can do, and there is room to the point that I just made to her to do this, and I'm happy to work with you. Hang on.
I really want to look into your eyes.
She's made up a question just for that.
But what I did want to say is I was at a meeting last week. They are designing a new program that is going to provide relief to the farmers. I think it's going to roll out in about a month. So obviously you were heard and people are paying attention, and I hope it helps.
Other questions? Hi, Keith.
Point
Sean, thanks for joining us. I have a picture of Sean and my daughter back in high school, singing together. I mean, right?
That's true.
You want to sing a Happy Valentine's Day song to someone?
Not yet. I'll see how the rest of
Where's Megan? My question's agricultural as well. We've got two bills that are more directly related to where your office can have some, at least influence on how the implications are. Investment tax credit for farmers who are purchasing equipment that will enable them for years or decades ahead to invest now and get a tax credit for that currently, so that there's more incentive for them to stay in business, to keep farming their land. So that's one bill that's up there. The other one is on the local tax assessment exemption for agriculture equipment and machinery that has been at $100,000 for a couple decades with no indexing. We're asking for that to be indexed and to jump up to $500,000, and that will impact towns like, Brantford, to the minor piece that's, they've got taxes, Guilford, et cetera, that is on agricultural equipment that is above that threshold, but that's supporting the agricultural community, food and so forth, it's local. So I'm hoping that the implications of those bills can be toned down to the extent that you're helping support business and staying in Connecticut.
Absolutely, Keith, and, please email me the bill numbers and I can look into them and we can go from there. Thank you. No, Dee has a question, so.
So I spend a lot of time on Main Street, and the story of Main Street's no different than any small business that's represented here. If you don't own your own building, the landlords have invested in such a way that the triple net leases are thrust upon retailers, restaurants, and they have to make that decision about can they afford to be there. The insurance prices have gone up to protect those businesses, and again, they have to make that decision. Increasing wages, some through our minimum wage laws, make it harder and harder to run the same business today. Main streets fuel our communities. How is the state going to keep the cost down, not only to those people on Main Street that make our communities vital, but to the very people who live in our towns who are also struggling with some of those same aspects?
So that's a great question. I think the answer from my perspective is two issues that when I go to businesses are the two issues that I hear the most about, and that's healthcare and energy. So on healthcare, most people don't realize this, but as the comptroller, I actually run the largest healthcare plan in the state of Connecticut. 260,000 people get their health insurance through my office. It's about 210,000 state workers and retirees and their family members, and then 60,000 municipal workers. And so I have tremendous leverage in the healthcare marketplace to try to lower costs. And I have always favored, even before I had this job, of using that leverage to lower the cost for everybody. So when I was in the legislature, I sponsored a bill known as a public option that would allow small businesses and nonprofits to buy into the state health plan at no cost to taxpayers, because it would be all premium funded. There would be protections against backsliding into taxpayers. This bill, as you can imagine, was universally opposed by the special interest insurance lobbyists of Hartford. They spent millions of dollars to defeat my bill, and it is what it is. There's been a Republican proposal known as Association of Health Plans that was sponsored last year, mainly by CBIA, to basically do a smaller version of that, which is to say, instead of having the government be involved in it, small businesses and nonprofits can band together to form an association, and then that association can, in theory, negotiate with the insurance companies. My mom used to have a store on the Green in Guilford, and when my mom had a small business, at most I think she ever had maybe 3 employees, right? When my mom would go to negotiate with a big insurance company, it was like, tilting at windmills, right? There's no leverage there. When I go to negotiate with an insurance company, I'm speaking to the CEO of that company. And so I would love to be able to confer the benefits and the power that I have to everybody else. Whether it's my idea or the Republican idea, CBIA's idea of Association Health Plan, I just think we have to do something, because the small group market is broken. In the last 2 years, 2 insurance companies have entirely left that market of the small group market. And right now, it's unsustainable costs. So since 14, the average premium increase has been 41% between 2014 and 2023. Average deductible increase has risen by 90% in that same period of time. The system is just so broken. And that's also on top of what I think is a primary care crisis, where if I got sick today and called my doctor down the street and said, hey, can you see me? He'd say, sure, I can see you on May 17th, because that's the next available appointment to see the primary care doctor. So what happens when we can't see our primary care doctor? We go to urgent care, we go to Goose Lane and Guilford, we go to the hospital, and that costs us all 2 to 3 to 4 times more than it would if we were just getting care in a primary care facility. So my proposal on this is we need some kind of new option that small businesses can buy into, whether it's mine or the other idea, I don't care, I just want to get something done. And I'm supporting and working on both this year. And the second thing is we need to do really, really big workforce investment in our state to recruit and train the next generation of healthcare workers, which is a big, big problem in our country, but we can do this here. Maine does something where they say to any medical student anywhere in the country, come to Maine, practice here for 5 years, we'll pay off all your student loans. Why aren't we doing that here in Connecticut? Why are we not doing things like that to try to help end this crisis? I think we need to be, and workforce is part of it. Quickly on energy, and this is a very hard topic to talk about quickly, but I just want to try to just do it very simply because I know it's on everybody's mind right now, and the energy problems that we're experiencing are really, really frustrating to a lot of people. There's no easy short-term solution to this. Because of the fiscal crisis that we were in, we were not making the kind of investments that other states around us were making to change the infrastructure of our state that would enable us to be able to utilize other new and renewable energy sources. So we are stuck relying on primarily 3 things: natural gas, nuclear power from Millstone, 40% of our power comes from Millstone, and then about 12% comes from hydropower from Canada. In 2017, when I was in the legislature, the Millstone guys came to us and basically put a gun to our head and said, if you don't give us a 10-year contract guaranteeing a price per kilowatt hour, we're going to close. And we unfortunately did what sometimes many people do when they put a gun to their head, is we folded. And we gave them this 10-year deal. And that 10-year deal started in 2019 and it goes till 2029. Well, guess what? We are paying 5 cents per kilowatt hour to them, no matter what the price of energy is. Right now, that means that we're paying more than we need to pay. In the last couple of years, there was a war in Ukraine that drove up the price of natural gas, we had COVID, we were paying under it. But right now, we're getting killed because the 5 cent per kilowatt hour is way more than we, in my opinion, should be paying for this. And we're locked into this deal until 2029. To make it worse, we are paying for the electricity of people in Massachusetts, Maine, or Rhode Island because they don't pay anything like this to Millstone. And so we're subsidizing them through that public benefit charge that people were so frustrated about last year. 77% of that is for paying for this Millstone deal. So I have said publicly that we should open up that deal, renegotiate it, and we should make the other states pay for this. Because we shouldn't all be on the hook for paying for this, because that's a big driver of our energy costs. So I think there are things that we can do on both healthcare and energy that would immediately bring relief to people. There's not much the state can do about rents. There's not much the state can do about some other localized issues. But if we can drive down the cost of those 2 things while also trying to make taxes more affordable, which is something that we have been doing in Connecticut, and trying to help our municipalities so that the property tax doesn't go up, then I think we can continue to make some progress here in Connecticut. All right. Thanks, everybody.
So, I don't know whether anybody else could rattle off those figures and numbers without any script. That's pretty impressive. Sean, are you gonna be here for a little while, if you have questions after we're done? Okay, great, thank you. Let me move along with our awards. We're gonna move to Guilford, but we have an awardee that is an awardee for the whole area. So I'm gonna ask Christy Burton from Guilford Interfaith Ministry to just push the button down, okay? We're good. Wow. How many of you are aware of Guilford Interfaith Ministries? Maybe you see them as Guilford Interfaith Volunteers. So, GIV's primary mission is neighborhood helping neighbor. The organization completes its mission via a number of programs, including Meals on Wheels, the Guilford Food Bank, Friendly Visiting, and Charlie's Closet. Through these programs, the goals are to promote strong community and to support the overall well-being and ability for people to remain in the home, whether they're elderly, homebound, or special needs. In addition, Charlie's Closet offers medical equipment to those in need all along the state of Connecticut. In the past year, Meals on Wheels delivered 36,500 meals to those who were homebound. And having a friendly face knock on your door and give you great food makes all the difference to somebody who's homebound. And so it's not only nourishment for the stomach, it's nourishment for the soul. The Guilford Food Pantry routinely feeds 76 families and provided approximately 28,000 meals worth of food last year. The Friendly Visiting Program provided 2,250 hours of visits, which gave social interaction to 35 individuals plus one group. Charlie's Closet, I'll tell you, anytime anybody puts on any of the social media of the town's pages and says, does anybody know where I can get a walker or a wheelchair or this? Charlie's Closet, which loans used durable medical equipment across 95 cities and towns. In the past year, 6,745 pieces of equipment were distributed. I think some of them came back to and got redistributed, correct? GIV is able to complete its missions and these activities with a large group of caring volunteers, and we thank those volunteers because nothing happens unless we have those volunteers at the food bank delivering those meals. And Chrissy runs a very small staff that helps recruit and manages those volunteers. In addition to supporting the above-mentioned programs, the volunteers and staff solicit wider community involvement through various events to increase public awareness of program offerings and support, and to generate the funds to keep operations going. So, what an outstanding service you ensure the organization has provided, and we'd like to congratulate you and present to you Nonprofit of the Year. Matt had an emergency, so Matt Hoey First Light is here, but we're going to ask the team to come in and vote. We got photo first. Did we get it? Yeah. And then again, we have certificates from Senator Blumenthal, from Provost Scanlon, town, et cetera. So.
Yeah, I just wanted to say two things. I think I'm speaking for Lisa Peterson as well. She's the head of our board. And I think the two things that I want to say is this honor and recognition comes kind of a special year. 2025 represents the 40th anniversary of Meals on Wheels. In 1985, Dr. Adams started the program delivering 12 meals July 1985, and then you just heard what Dee said about what we did last year, which was 36,500 meals. So we're really proud of that and really appreciate the recognition. And the second thing I would echo is what Dee said, in that our staff is a staff of 4, and we have a board of probably 20 plus people. So you heard what we've done in terms of the meals we've delivered and the medical equipment that we've distributed. And there's absolutely no way we could do that without all the volunteers we have. So I will share this honor with them, and I thank you very much.
Now I'd like to move to Employer of the Year and ask Jose Copio to come on up. Located in a historic trolley building in Guilford on Water Street, Floor Praise brings the traditional values of customer service, skill, art, and joy in doing the best job for the customer. Whether you need carpet, rugs, tile, stone, laminate, vinyl, or any kind of floor service you can imagine, Floor Praise is the place to go whether you need your residence has an issue or your commercial building does. What sets Floor Praise apart is their unwavering commitment to their employees. And some of them are family, so if you weren't committed to them, I suspect you'd hear about it, right? Absolutely. But this gentleman here has a deep passion of doing things the right way and a dedication to fostering a positive, inclusive workplace culture. You prioritize continuous training, keeping your team up to date with the latest products, installation techniques, and materials in the industry. Floor Praise is always seeking ways to improve their practices, embracing the philosophy that there's always room to grow and learn. And it's this forward-thinking approach that makes Floor Praise not just a trusted provider, but a great place to work. Everyone in the organization is focused on meeting the customer's need for not only the right product, but to deliver it within the customer's schedule, such as a commercial building, and I won't name the name of that building because it was mine, that needed to remain open during the day and could only have its floors installed at night. Or a homeowner, gee, it was also me, that needed a floor in 2 days before a move could be completed. Every employee works with pride in their work and knows that they need to show up the job whenever the customer needs it to get the job done right. I'd like to see, I've also had them do things that wasn't a crisis, just so you know. Floor Praise is community and chamber focused. Jose just recently joined our board. He advocates, unlike anybody I know, for the next generation of young entrepreneurs to build the social and business skills to succeed. And with him today is his son, Alessandro, and he makes sure Alessandro goes to business meetings and networking meetings and learns the skills as a high schooler, right? High school. He makes sure that his next generation is being prepared in order to work in business or be part of somebody else's business. Floor Praise is a gold sponsor of many of the chamber events, including this one, where you'll see many of Floor Praise's team in attendance. It embodies the spirit of great business with a focus on developing and supporting those that deliver their business every day, and that is why Floor Praise is Employer of the Year. Congratulations. We have a whole bunch of certificates commemorating that. We're the only awards place where we do not read every word on these certificates.
So thank you everyone for being here this morning and for your flexibility. I think it just really shows the commitment that we all have to the community. This award's not just for me, but for my whole team, which includes my parents, my son, my uncles, Angela, my girlfriend, Cassandra, because it's a team effort. I think everyone here knows the value of community, of doing the right thing, and having the pride of doing right by others, and that's something that we strive for. And this is just like getting ready, everyone here is their DNA. The way I teach my son is the way my father taught me, which is the way his father taught me. And I think that's the beauty of community. Just pass it on for the next generation, and thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Shirley, I'm going to ask you to make your way up to the here. I'm going to read a little bit about our hometown heroes for Guilford. So sometimes a project gets our attention and needs to be recognized. And the reason a project gets our attention is because different individuals and organizations step up when the need is great. And that's what happened. The Little Red Shack in Guilford, or sometimes you know it as the Monroe Cottage or the Grass Island Shack, whatever you call it, has been part of Guilford Shoreline since 1916. Look around anywhere you go. I've been spending a lot of time at Smilo on the 4th floor. There's a beautiful display of artwork of the Little Red Shack. Or if you go into any of our retail stores, you'll find cards and posters of the Little Red Shack, because it's been the landmark that most brings to mind the beauty of Guilford. However, the rising tides, shifting sands, and storms put this beloved building in danger on April 20th, 24. Many people in town and state woke to an alarm that the Little Red Shack was no longer on land, but surrounded by water. News headlines, Facebook posts cited the end of the shack. It's in peril. Our beloved shack is gone. Even people in local bars rallied to cry and say, well, let's throw this go down at 10 o'clock at night, we'll just pull that sucker out of the water. Fortunately, people who knew what they were doing stepped up. And they are part of who we want to honor today. With the town's already engineered plans underway, the immediate need to save the shack was real. And we saw real hometown heroes step up. Mike Donofrio of East Guilford Construction, who is away at a well-earned vacation with his wife, and Tom Tola of Construction Services Unlimited, who is sick with COVID, knew that they had the experience of dealing with historic buildings and the skills to get the shack to immediate safety and to ultimately move it to a safer place and restore it. Donating their own time, their employees' time, and equipment, they quickly saved the shack from immediately harm. But it was going to take more, and this is when another hometown hero, led by Board Chair Shirley joining me here, the Guilford Preservation Alliance stepped in. Tim Sperry led the drive to raise funds needed for equipment and materials to restore the shack to its new location, secure location, and to its beautifully restored shape. Mike and Tom took the time and energy to lead the restoration because they grew up in Guilford and could not envision Guilford's coastal entrance without the iconic shack. Besides the restoration skill of Mike and Tom, they also involved many local vendors. Nick Fisher of Fisher Excavation was key to the success of the project, providing barge service to, as you see, it's surrounded by water, and getting materials over and equipment was very tricky. This is the shack in this new location. And he was instrumental and made his barge available whenever it was needed. E&H Restoration stepped up to the plate through a donation of materials from their supplier Metro Roofing and installation by the E&H crew. They came through for the shack, just as they did a few short years ago for the Eagle project that fixed the roof. Tom wanted me to let you know that he and Mike have a long-standing relationship with Rings End Lumber and Landon Lumber. And though they never formally approached them, these two companies formally offered to supply all of the lumber needs for the project at their purchase cost. And that was a large savings to the project. Tom also wanted me to shout out Janet Plasiak, who is the town engineer. Janice had been working very hard with Deep to make sure that there was a plan that when the shack was moved, it would be moved to a place where it would not be impacted by shifting sands and rising tides. And Tom said, Guilford made a wise choice when they hired her as our town engineer. And I want to make sure I pass it on to Janice. Guilford Preservation Alliance involved individuals and businesses for key donations. And they were supported as well by the Guilford Foundation, who launched their Save the Shack challenge grant. Save the Shack is a lot to say, and I have only had one cup of coffee. As well as the Guilford Rotary, who did a big, large push at the end of fundraising, and that helped make sure that there were funds there. On December 4th, the Shack was declared done and shown as the beauty it is, as a welcome beacon to the Guilford coast, thanks to the leadership of Mike Donofrio, Tom Toller, and the Guilford Preservation Alliance. And so we're going to present Shirley for the GPO Review Award.
I just wanted to say, I'm so sorry, Tim isn't here.
We're going to let you say something tonight. We need a picture first, okay? All right. And we have awards we can invite, but we also have certificates. We'll get one more picture.
I just want to say thank you to Tim Sperry, who couldn't be here this morning. He's the true hero. He's our treasurer of the Preservation Alliance, and he raised $70,616 total. And I wanted to take note that 510 individuals and business owners contributed a huge portion of that 70,000. So thank you to the town and all the contributors.
Where's Marcia? Come on up, Marcia. I know how much you love having these things happen. You turn to Marcia. Yes. Duly reporting to duty. The 2024 Excellence in Innovation goes to Marshall LaFemina and the MATCH program. The need for manufacturing workforce has been constant for our area and our state. And this has not been lost on Marshall LaFemina, who's the second generation president and CEO of family-owned Penn Globe, the oldest outdoor lighting company in the United States. She has led the company in developing innovative and environmentally responsible lighting products for the municipal and college markets. Community-minded, in 2019, she launched the Lighting for the Greater Good program, whereby profits are used to support food pantries in Penn Grove customer communities around the country, as well as local nonprofits. She is committed to helping the underemployed and the unemployed find quality manufacturing careers and actively participates in many workforce development projects in the greater New Haven area. As a result of this passion, Marcia found the innovative MATCH program, which stands for the Manufacturing and Community Technical Hub. MATCH is a comprehensive model that demonstrates the value people and organizations working together make a community strong, healthy, and empowered. MATCH overcomes the obstacles that for the underemployed to become trained in manufacturing. They provide training during the time children are in school. They pay for time in training rather than just providing a small stipend. They teach shop math, not college math, so that people can do the jobs that are out there in manufacturing. And education is provided bilingually. And many of the instructors are from Penn Globe themselves, right? Marcia sought a grant to rehabilitate a vacant building in Fairhaven neighborhood and create a place of opportunity for area residents struggling to find a career path. MATCH is currently working to provide contract manufacturing services as a vehicle for the manufacturing community and to provide real-world experience. Nobody does this alone. But along the way, we've had a very strong partner in your efforts, and Lindy Lee Gold, Senior Development Specialist at the State of Connecticut, has been there all along and serves on the board of management. Marcia serves also as a board member for the chamber and is the sponsor of many events. Marcia knows my first job, my first career was in manufacturing, and it is near and dear to my heart. I think it's one of the most rewarding jobs that you can have. And the fact that manufacturers help make our state strong, and we need to have a program that allows us to have enough workforce to do that, and Match is setting the standard for that to happen, and we congratulate you.
Lovely question.
And if I get Rose, certificates. We have Mayor Angeloni and Assistant Town Manager Burke with us.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Well, I'm not good at this, and I always forget what I'm gonna say, so I'm trying my phone like y'all do the first time. So, I just wanna say that I am elected because I get to make things, and I really enjoy that. And getting to teach people how to make things is just the other side of all of this. It's a lot of work, and what isn't said here, I may have had an idea, it's at the reach out of the friends and associates who pull this thing together for us. I cannot overstate it. But important numbers to pass along as we work really hard every day to make this difference. In the last 10 months, and we're starting, like I said, 1 year and 5 months? 1 year and 5 months, actually, open the doors. And in the last 10 months, over 300 applicants for a program that we only have 26 seats. These are people who life has happened to. That's a whole bunch of things, as you can imagine. Left school, came back to school. It's a community. It's quite amazing. Our assistant town manager, Roy's been over to come to see it. Please come and see what we're doing over there because it's for all of us. It's just maybe located in New Haven, but it's for all of us on the shoreline. We can help our area manufacturers, and we're honored to have the good work that we're trying to do be recognized by the chamber. So thank you very much.
Willie Della Camera, would you come on up? And company. Good, we need help holding him. Come on over. I'm glad we have something that will be suitable for photos. Willie Della Camera. Up until August 26th, one word would describe Willie: farmer. Owner of Ceccarelli's Harrison Hill Farm in Northford. Well, as an honest, hardworking farmer, was dedicated most of his life to providing us with fresh, local produce. They're the epitome of dedication and community spirit. You get up at 4 a.m., something like that, and you work, till like 9 o'clock at night during growing season and harvesting season? Is he up before you get up and then he doesn't come back in until after you go to bed? He makes it, I tell you, this one's gonna get me. Buying the seed, cultivating the land, and nurturing crops until harvest has been your life. But it took one 15-minute hailstorm on August 26th to wipe out 125 acres of crops that turned Willie from a farmer to an activist. Unlike many of the businesses in this room, disaster help is woefully lacking for the farmer. With too few farming insurance adjusters, insurance valuing the loss as only the cost of seed that was bought to grow product, and doesn't fairly take into account the investment in the land or the day in and day out labor to coax those seeds into beautiful crops, or the price that would have been received in the market in just a few days. A whole growing season boils down to the purchase price of seed, and not the money needed to support the farmer, his workers, or his family. Disasters for farms are governed by the USDA and not FEMA, so the route to disaster assistance is slow and painfully wanting, and may not garner the same attention from state and federal governments as hurricanes, fires, or floods. That's until Willie became an activist, not just for himself, but for the farmers of the state and country. Willie has a fire burning inside to make people understand and take notice that we have to do better for our farmers. He said, "Small farmers like myself are the backbone of America, and we aren't getting what we need for support." Willie, perhaps in a telling photo, pointedly explained the plight of the farmer to Senator Blumenthal. Willie was passionate in his plea to Senator Blumenthal. "I want the lip service to end. It's time to fix these problems. These problems have been going on way too long." And he didn't stop there. He got on his tractor and visited Connecticut farmers, gaining their signatures. You can see his tractor and trailer down in Washington, and took them up to the State House. But that wasn't enough. He traveled down from Connecticut to New Jersey and Pennsylvania and visited farms along the way and took his tractor to Washington and the USDA. He got the attention of Representative Rosa DeLauro, who, as ranking member of the Appropriations Committee, was able to secure in December the Farm Recovery and Support Block Grant. And how much was that for?
$220 million share.
$220 million to ensure small and medium-sized farmers could get relief, as our current system often leaves them behind. This block grant also focused on any weather event in 23 or 24 that a state, in its sole discretion, determines warrants such relief, whether the extreme flooding in Connecticut in 23 or a 15-minute hailstorm in 24. This block grant was created to prioritize these farmer states that struggle, as they are the atypical agricultural focus of relief aid. And it's helping New England and states like Hawaii and Alaska. When a farmer becomes an activist and is blunt, many fellow farmers benefit. Well, he is not done. He is the new generation shining a light on the needs of the farmers in our state, towns, country, and we thank you for your activism. Hometown hero from North Branford. Peter? Okay, we stay there, we've got a few certificates. Thanks, Bruno. Thanks. Do I have to have the 7-second rule? Go for it.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming out today and supporting me, especially my two tables that have been with me from day one, that saw the destruction on the farm. And if it wasn't for everybody that's with me today, I wouldn't have had maybe not so much the courage to go, but the support to go. You know, it was a hard thing to do, but when that hailstorm was over and I stood in that yard and I knew, I was looking at my, you know, what I grew all summer was gone, and knowing what took place the year prior in July on the Connecticut River, and watching not only our state officials, but our government officials basically give all the farmers a cold shoulder, I knew what I was up against. And from that Monday afternoon until that infamous Friday confrontation,
which was his encouraging words to do it, so that's why I did it. Because I knew that if I was gonna go to the wayside and my friends were gonna go to the wayside, and right now, we do have a silent epidemic in American agriculture, and that's the death of the American small farmer. And it's not just in New Haven County, Connecticut, it's in every county that farms across the country. So knowing that, I knew I had to stand up, and I thought I was done, but everybody says I still gotta do more, so I'm gonna take this momentum from I have today and carry it on to see if we could change not only in the state but in the federal level as to how we're gonna help small farmers succeed into the future. So the future kids here and the future kids of all the other farmers in the state of Connecticut and throughout America. And Bruno unknowingly took a picture that was taken this summer in school. He was asked to bring in a picture of someone that was a hero to him to paint in art class, which he did an amazing job painting, and we had it framed at home. And knowing that it got put in his school amongst on the wall to be displayed was a good day for me to see that everybody is encouraging me to do what I did. And thank you all for coming out today, I appreciate it.
Where is the next generation of farmers going to come from? I hope that everyone in this room, you encourage friends and family and whatever. We are so used to having that farmer's market here, that farm's thing there. So please encourage people that a great career, hard career, but a great career is in farming. So that kind of wraps up our awards. I want to congratulate all of our awardees. I'm going to have you come up with your award, if you would, right up here. Business of the Year, Grey Goat. Small Business of the Year, Concierge Tequila. Employer of the Year, Floor Craze. Nonprofit of the Year, Guilford Interfaith Volunteers. Excellence in Innovation, Marshall Femina and Match. Community Partner, Branford Co-working. Hometown Hero, Guilford, Little Red Shack Restoration. And Hometown Hero Willie. If we can get who's still here for a group picture, who do I have? Shirley, I'm sorry. And Tracy, you want to come up too, please? So we're going to have you all over here, so we can get a group picture of you. And as they're gathering over here to get one final picture, I got a couple more coming. I want to thank GSB for not only being a gold sponsor, but being a community benefactor. Cross-Point Federal Credit Union for being also a gold sponsor and a partner benefactor. Autech, East River Energy, and Floor Craze for being gold sponsors. Page Hardware for being a silver sponsor. Penn Glow for being a bronze sponsor, and Van Wilkins for being a bronze sponsor. And I want to thank all of these honorees for, in fact, making the towns we live in, the communities we live in, a great place to live. And let's give them a round of applause. Would you join them? Let's get Jim Gillen in there with his award. And I want to thank all of you for coming up and taking the time to say thank you to every one of these. We are especially honored to recognize excellence in our communities. Thank you for coming.